The whole idea of this movie is that you have to go not expecting too much. It's just one of those feel-good, benign movies. Does it hurt you? No, it doesn't. But when it comes to performances, I think it is Suhana Khan who was really a revelation in this, along with Vedang Raina. Good afternoon, this is Manjusha Radhakrishnan from Gulf News. I'm the entertainment editor and I'm here with the review of The Archies, directed by Zoya Akhtar. It's a launch vehicle for several star kids, including Shah Rukh Khan's daughter Suhana Khan. There's also Amitabh Bachchan's grandson Agastya Nanda, and of course Janhvi Kapoor's sister and Boni Kapoor and Sridevi's daughter Kushi Kappor. So this is like a cluster launch vehicle for several star kids and several other newcomers. There are at least 7 newcomers in this movie. It is director Zoya Akhtar's Indian adaptation of the beloved American comics called The Archies. If you're in the mood for a very soothing palate cleanser after watching a movie called Animal starring Ranbir Kapoor, which was so bloody and violent, then this is the right movie for you. I mean, it is one of the most benign and feel-good musicals starring 17-year-olds, you know, having problems that are not about world peace perhaps or about the war, but about saving trees in an idyllic town in Ooty. Unlike the Archies comics, where Betty Cooper, Veronica Lodge and Archie Andrews live in Riverdale, which is in New York, Zoya Akhtar transplants it into an Indian milieu. So we have Ooty being transformed into this very fictional paradise of a place, a small town where people know each other, they have hamburgers, they know what's happening in each other's lives. It's not like this bustling metropolis. It's a very sleepy, quaint town. Zoya Akhtar does a great job of imagining this fictional place in India and perhaps suiting it to Indian context. Now, when it comes to performances, I thought Suhana Khan, who's Shah Rukh Khan's daughter, is bestowed the screen presence and that magnetic personality that her famous dad has. She's shown as Veronica Lodge. Now, Veronica, one of her traits in the comics, as you may know, is that she's snooty, she's wealthy, privileged, she's got a lot of sass and flair, and I have to say that Suhana Khan fits perfectly into this role. In fact, when I was watching the movie, I thought she shone very bright when compared to the other newcomers as well. Another person who really had my heart was the actor who played Reggie, who's equally self-assured. He's also wealthy in the movie. He's a bit of a cad, played by Vedang Raina. He does such a good job as well. Both Suhana and Vedang shine, and they show us that, you know, they look like seasoned actors as opposed to being their first time attempt at perhaps acting in front of the camera. But when it comes to Kushi Kapoor, who plays Betty Cooper, and Agastya Nanda, Amitabh Bachchan's grandson, who plays Archie Andrews, they are supposed to be doing the heavy lifting. Somehow I felt they looked a bit coltish and raw and perhaps awkward. They don't seem to be as seasoned or as confident as Suhana Khan or Vedang Raina, which is very disheartening, because if these actors had collectively come together and done the heavy lifting, then this particular simple story about a very simple problem, you know, teenagers uniting to save trees in a park, when corporate greed comes in, when Veronica Lodge's dad wants to build a posh complex around it instead of in place of the park, these teenagers unite to perhaps get signatures to stop that particular plan. One of the highlights was when both Betty and Veronica, when realizing that Archie's is two-timing them, they unite and confront him. I thought there was such sister code between them that was really enjoyable. You don't often see such scenes in Bollywood movies. So the kind of strong sister code really did my heart in. And it's also one of the few movies where the kids are just kids. I mean, they don't pretend to be adults or don't pretend to know about the world. So it's very age-appropriate casting happening here. Even the narrative also fits in with all the 17-year-olds who look that age. We live in an industry where it's all about aging superstars who play very, very young men, even in their 50s. So this is a welcome change to see age-appropriate casting being exercised and also seeing sister code being celebrated with such great fervor. You can almost tell that this is a film told by a woman through her lens. In terms of looking staged, I have to say that this movie takes a lot of time to warm up to. It looks like almost like watching a theatrical play, honestly. So that is a bit of a downside to this film. Unlike Zoya Akhtar's previous movies like Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara or say Dil Dhadakne Do, which are so seamless. I mean, we were immediately transported into that world that she wanted to create, or even Gully Boy. We do not have that seamless connect to this film. Many a times you feel like you're watching a theatrical production, which is a bit of a misfire. When it comes to performances, like I said, Suhana Khan really does very well. The whole idea of this movie is that you have to go not expecting too much. It's just one of those feel-good, benign movies. Does it hurt you? No, it doesn't. But when it comes to performances, I think it is Suhana Khan who was really a revelation in this, along with Vedang Raina. When it comes to conflict, I have to tell you, it's very simplistic. But so are the Archies comics. I mean, you're supposed to just read it and perhaps then discard it and forget about it. The movie also expects you to do the same. Just get into their world for 2.5 hours and perhaps just get transported into a very fictional world where problems are not very massive. The players are very young. They're very idealistic. So that's the whole thing. You have to invest in the dream to enjoy this film. But there are many parts which look very staged, unfortunately. I think Zoya could have done a lot better when it comes to making it just a lot more tighter. Even some of the songs I thought were a bit forced into the narrative. It's set in the 1960s post-British era where several British Indian families decided to stay back in India and they formed this Anglo-Indian community. So when it comes to the costumes, when it comes to the mannerisms, the dance, the dating culture, it kind of reflected the Archies comics. But other than creating the world, I think when it comes to having a gripping storyline, somehow that it failed, and that's one of the complaints that I have about this movie. I've gone with 2.5 out of 5. For a full review, you can always go to gulfnews.com. We have a review posted out there, and be sure to tell me how you feel about the movie. It's out on Netflix now.